Wow, guys. Wow. Oh, wow. I truly wish we were meeting again under different circumstances. I truly do. I truly wish that we were meeting here tonight under very different circumstances. I mean, this seemed like it was sort of inevitable, but my God, give me 1 second. I'm just getting my bearings straight here. But this is crazy stuff, folks. One of the guys I at least wanted to inquire on. I mentioned plenty of times that I thought because of his age and the contract, there was some things where it wouldn't have been easy. But I certainly would have liked the New Jersey Devils to at least kick the old tires on the potential of bringing JT in. I do think he would have been an amazing player for this roster. I think he brings a little more fire. Something that a lot of us have agreed that the team has been lacking. But my God, the New York Rangers just got substantially stronger today, bringing back JT Miller from the Vancouver Canucks. And wow, guys. Wow. So it looks like, according to Brooksy, the Rangers have acquired JT Miller and 2 prospects in exchange for Filip, Chytil, Victor Mancini, and a protected first rounder. Wow. Ranger fans got to be stoked for this. Absolutely stoked. JT Miller leaving the Canucks, going back to where it all began. And wow, guys. I mean, this is, if you're a Rangers fan, Ranger fans got to be ecstatic about this. And why wouldn't you be? I mean, this guy is going to help them make a playoff push here. And they're still very much in this thing. Bear with me 1 second. I'm trying to load up some stuff here. Wow. It did seem like this was a destination for him. He wanted to be there. Obviously, the situation, as you all are probably aware, the situation with him and Pedersen has gotten increasingly contentious, I would say. In the past couple of weeks, it's been a media frenzy. There was a video clip that kind of went hockey viral, where he was saying he didn't want to talk about it. But it absolutely seemed inevitable that at some point JT Miller would be shipped out of Vancouver. Wow. And let the arms race begin, guys. The Metropolitan is a stacked division. It's not going to get any better for the Devils going forward. Teams are loading up, and this is an arms race. And we saw the big splash that the Hurricanes made getting Rantanen and Hall, and now the New York Rangers have a little reunion with JT Miller from the Vancouver Canucks. Unbelievable stuff. Let's look at the standings here. We look at the standings. I mean, the Rangers are right there. I mean, 52 points through 50 games. 520 points percentage. You got the Canadians also at 520. The Bruins are at 528. Islanders at 530. What a streak for the Islanders right now. Red Wings at 539. The Blue Jackets at 559 and the Lightning at 570. And the New York Rangers are fully trying to salvage their season. They are not going out without a fight. And as long as they got Shesterkin, I believe they're going to make a push. I really do. They've obviously slipped up a little bit as of late, but not great news for your New Jersey Devils and a lot of the teams that the Rangers are trying to gain ground on. What a monstrous pickup. Wow. And it didn't really cost them what I thought it would have costed a little bit more, to be honest. No real substantial loss. Let's see. I hate when stuff like this comes through the wire. Yeah, and they're in the JT Miller business, guys. He's in year 2 of a 7-year contract. Or no. What the hell? Hold on, this Puckpedia is not. Okay, so he's signed for. Oh no. Yeah, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, that's right. He's signed for obviously this season, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons following. The Rangers are in the JT Miller business for real. And he goes back to where it all began. Unbelievable stuff. I do think he is going to be a big help trying to get back in the playoffs. Now, whether they are able to successfully do that or not remains to be seen. But wow, guys, this is a big one. Wow. I hope Fitz does something again, not as a reactionary measure. Aside from other teams making moves, I wanted Fitz to make this team better. But I feel like this should be a little extra urgency as you see teams, a team like the Rangers, not even in the playoffs at the moment, making a significant maneuver to try to get there. Granted, we are in a playoff spot right now, but I wish sometimes Fitz acted like, slightly more desperate in the fact that the spot is not etched in stone. We could lose it. I would like to see a little more proactive movement to make sure we protect it. Cyril, what's going on? Keeping up with the Devils. Here we go. Fitz is going to feel obligated to make a move. I don't think Fitz is for better or for worse. I do not think that Tom Fitzgerald feels any sort of outside pressures to change the course of action he was already planning on taking. So whether he was set on not making any moves or he was set on trying to bring a guy in, I don't think the outside noise and other teams making moves is going to impact him one way or another. And I guess depending on the situation and how you look at it, that could be a good or bad thing. But I don't really know. Accurate NSX, what's up? You got me looking at NSXs last night for like 20 minutes. I was looking at all of them for sale. They're beautiful cars, man. Evan, what's going on? Cyril, really not worried about the Rangers. Well, listen, I'm worried about everybody. But you never want to see the Cross River rival load up with a pretty damn good player. Just a Devils fan, this isn't good. Alex, I'm not too sad about it. No worries. Ace, our guy, will come. Hopefully, Saad is a no-go now, too. Yeah, Saad signs with the Golden Knights. The New York nobody, what's going on? Brigham Young, send him old. An aging player in an albatross contract is exactly what the doctor ordered for New York Rangers. Or it could work. Listen, like I've said this, stemming back a few weeks, in a vacuum, I like JT Miller as a player, and I think he would have been awesome for the Devils. I did say, though, that the contract age combination worried me, and without some sort of retention, it is one of those deals that you're going to look at in a few years and likely be like, oh my God, this is Palat 2.0. No disrespect to Palat, but a contract that doesn't age well. However, the extra incentive for Drury in New York could be with the news of the cap going up ridiculous amounts over the next few years. They might look at it as screw it. I'm trying to save my job potentially, right, and make the playoffs this season. I mean, the Rangers not making the playoffs after winning the President's Trophy, a.k.a. the regular season champions, would be catastrophic, and people would be calling for his head, and rightfully so. And so I do think this is a little bit of a self-preservation move to try to squeak in the playoffs, make some noise, and potentially keep his job, because I do believe Dolan will get that itchy trigger finger, if the Rangers go from regular season champions last year to golfing in April. I don't think he would accept that. Evan, they're trying to make a wild card and go on a run. I completely agree with that. The New York nobody, I'd imagine you would like the deal. Carson, this did really happen, confirmed by Brooksy and Elliot Friedman. Yes, it did. Good deal for the Rangers. I think so, too, especially with the cap going up. But it could age terribly. But for the now, I think it's a good move for them. Just a Devils fan, not good for the Devils. I agree, but I don't think it's going to impact us all that much. Cyril, very often the more conservative teams at deadline go the furthest in the postseason. Yes and no. I mean, if you look at the rosters around the league, if you believe the Devils are one of the teams that should be more conservative at the deadline, I would like some more of whatever you're drinking and or smoking, because this roster definitely needs some help. Craig, what's up? They gave up almost nothing for him. It's not almost nothing, but it seems to me that's as cheap as you could have possibly dreamed of getting him. And again, credit to the Rangers. They pounced. The situation's been boiling up over the past few weeks, and they were probably just like, we need to just get this guy out of here. This is becoming cancerous for the team. The Canucks are in all kinds of trouble right now, and they were probably like, let's just take the best deal on the table. They took Drury's offer, they ship him off, and now they don't have to deal with this. For another week or so, the questions will continue to roll in. But in the end, You know, when you have a situation like that with two of your star players, never good for the team, never good for the locker room. And so they've now rid themselves of the JT Miller quote unquote problem. And the Rangers are looking to slide in. What happened? You know what happened, SST. Paulie Walnuts, did you have a chance to talk to Fitz last night at Sweep the Deck? If so, did you tell him to get up off his ass and make a move? So he was not as readily available as most of the players, and I did see him from a distance. But I'll be honest, I did not make an effort to go to talk to him because there was so much other stuff going on between the event and the guys walking around. But if you haven't seen it yet, I just dropped the link in the description. I went to the Sweep the Deck Gala, Devils awesome charity event with the Devils Youth Foundation, held at the arena. Tons of food, drinks, entertainment. They had curling, they had casino games, players walking around everywhere. So I did do a vlog on that to give you guys a little inside look at into that event. Just drop the link in the description, so check that out if you haven't already. Pretty awesome night. Highly recommend the event. 10 of 10. The New York Nobody, Mancini had a lot of potential. We also get Brannstrom and some other guy. What do we know about him? This literally was getting finalized as I got on here. I don't know anything more than, at the moment, what Brooksy put out. JT Miller and 2 prospects in exchange for Chytil, Victor Mancini, and a protected first rounder. I'd imagine the prospects aren't going to be anything crazy. Let's see what Friedman's got to say. Wow, another potential fit for the New Jersey Devils taken off the board. I never really thought they were going to be involved, though, because of his contract. Like, I thought they might inquire, but it was more of a pipe dream in my opinion. But like I said, the NHLPA released the cap estimates next 3 seasons. Next season, they have the cap projected up to 95.5, then 26-27, 104 million, and then 27-28, 113.5 million. Crazy. And the other guys going to the Rangers are Erik, Brannstrom, and Jackson Dorrington. Wow. Mark, no money retain. Yeah, I didn't think they would want to. There's just so many years left. To retain money, that would really hinder you going forward. And, the Rangers were glad to get that deal done. Alex, I think Petty stays put in Vancouver, giving up way too early on him. If they get rid of Pettersson as well, are they now like essentially rebuilding? A lot of people have been talking about, obviously, Canucks adjacent news, speculating on the eventual departure of Quinn Hughes. Wow. It is. It just does suck to see your hated rival get stronger. Let me just see something here. The Pacific. Yeah, and for the people that think like the Canucks are going to just totally blow it up, they have 56 points. They're 2 points out of third place in the Pacific and a point out of a wild card spot. I feel like people have been talking about them as if they're like some sort of lottery team. That's clearly not the case. And so I don't know. Getting rid of Pettersson, I would imagine, on the heels of this, would certainly leave a bad taste in a lot of their fans' mouths. And I don't know if they're going to do that. And not to mention, the Pettersson contract is, even with the cap going up, is something that I would never even consider personally. When people brought it up, $11.6 million bucks. With the cap going up, it does become slightly, more palatable than it was before, but it's still $11.6 million bucks for Pettersson. I wouldn't be interested. A lot of Devils fans were like, "Oh, we should get Pettersson." I'm like, guys, $11.6 million bucks. Let's take it easy. That's not a deal I want any part of. But Miller returns. Evan, this isn't going to be easy now. Golden Knights signed Saad. Yep, he's another guy off the board. Searle, of course, the Rangers are going to give up just a little for an $8 million 6-year deal on a good, not great 31-year-old who by many accounts can be cancerous as shit. The thing I want to talk about that too also, and when people say cancerous, right? He does seem like an old school guy to me in that he's very fiery, vocal, and wants to win. And I think a lot of people, players included and whoever else, might, in my opinion, mislabel that as cancerous. I personally would not consider that cancerous. I think there is cancerous traits, and then there's a fiery competitor who wants to win who might aggravate some people from time to time with the things they say or do. I want guys like that on my team. I personally want leaders who get fired up, who don't like losing, who will call guys out, keep them accountable. And to be quite honest, I think that is something that the New Jersey Devils have lacked for years and years. I talk to tons of players, current and old timers. And the one thing that became apparent to me in the past, even 5 probably years ago, maybe even more, is that the old guard of the Devils, the young guys came up, the Scott Gomez's, Colin White's, Rafalski's, all those guys, these young kids, Eliash, Sikora, all these young kids came into very veteran locker rooms with very pronounced leadership that were not scared to let their voices be heard or to blast kids for not doing what they're supposed to do. And I think this current New Jersey Devils team, unfortunately, lacks that type of accountability from respected leaders in the room. And I've said this for a long time. When you look back at the history of the league, a lot of good teams, and specifically the Devils, because this is a Devils community here, but other teams as well, a lot of winning teams are a good blend of the youth, but they also have veterans that don't take shit. War-proven veterans, just absolute killers. And the Devils, when those kids came up, they had guys like Scott Stevens, Ken Danico, Bobby Holy, Claude Lemieux, Randy McKay, and tons of other ones over the years. These were veterans that paved the way and showed these kids how to be a pro, how to win, what is acceptable, what is not. And I do feel like, going back to even Fitz's quotes in the past offseason about the country club, part of the way you get into a country club atmosphere is by not having those guys around. And I do think to some extent, Brendan Dillon is a guy that can be one of those leaders and kind of try to, push the kids in the right direction. But one guy is not enough. And the Devils historically have had tons of them. And so I do think that Miller may, and it could be true. I obviously don't know enough about it, but I do think a lot of that type of, being a fiery winner who holds people accountable could be labeled as cancerous. And in my opinion, that is not cancerous. Samuel, side went to the Knights, $1.5 million, but prorated for what's left in the season, $600K. Yeah, it's a freebie. No assets. Unbelievable. Henry, unrelated to Islanders, are ahead of the Rangers. Craig, it's really not that crazy historically. They always land the biggest names. I mean, they, going back to the days of Lindros, Pavel Bure, Jaromir Jagr. Stanley, another trade orchestrated by the NHL. How many times are we going to see the Rangers fleece a team in a trade? All good, though. I'm sure Fitz is in total control. LOL. I do think Fitz is going to make some moves. They just might not be as soon as some people want to see. Alex, Palms is looking like a better option by the day. He's got a shot on him. Yeah, I would hope for a bigger, a bigger type of player. But if there's a sensible deal on the table for Palmieri, I personally have said on record, I will welcome any help. And there is no shortage of guys in this league. I do think that'll help. Keeping up the Devils, 2 blockbusters about a week apart. Searle, Fleece, relax. Rangers have been going for big fish for ages, and how has it worked again? Well, typically it hasn't worked for them. Devils fan 13 trade cost was driven down significantly by the Rutherford press conference, brother. Jeff, don't worry, boys. We're signing Quinn July 2027. I thought that was a very good possibility, before all of the, supposed inner turmoil with the Vancouver Canucks. I thought, we have 2 of his brothers. Hopefully we're a competitive team, and hopefully we're competitive from now until then. And it would be obviously a very attractive destination to lure the third Hughes brother. Ryan, Fitz not doing anything for us. LOL, JT Gonzad went to the Knights. There's plenty of other guys. I'm not going to overreact and be like, oh, what the hell was Fitzy doing? I mean, there's still tons of guys that'll be available. Jeff, as soon as we lock up Luke this summer, Devils fan 13, now he's going to call out the entire Rangers locker room. Again, I want guys like that on our team. I want guys that will hold other guys accountable, because it has been sorely missing for a very, very long time for the New Jersey Devils. Alexander the Greg, Ace, you don't think Fitz isn't kicking all the tires all the time? Help me understand your train of thought. Literally singing his praises 1 minute and calling for his job the next. No, I'm not calling for his job. You guys got it twisted. I'm not calling for his job. I was very pissed off at him and critical of last season to let that season go down the drain and not do anything until it was far too late. And missing the playoffs, in my opinion, was severely psychologically damaging to our young group of kids who just made it to the playoffs the year before, beat the Rangers in 7 games, had the franchise record-setting season with 112 points. So for me, I was super pissed off after we just tanked last season, essentially. Unforgivable offense, in my opinion. Now, with that being said, I said, okay, I calmed down. I said, let's see what he does this summer. And I sang his praises all summer long. I loved every single off-season addition he made, except for the Tatar one. Again, it wasn't a lot of money, 1-year deal. I understood why he did it. Low risk, potential, high reward, hoping to recapture some of that magic from that 22-23 season. We didn't have a lot of cap space left after all the other splashes. He thought he might get him to heat up with Dawson and Nico. Didn't quite pan out that way, but loved Pesce edition. Loved Dylan, loved Kovacevic, loved Cotter, loved Markey, obviously. All the moves were great, and I sang his praises all summer long. I was totally on board from when he said he wanted to get heavier, edgier, more violent, obviously, in that interview. And so I thought he did a great job. But I also said the real judgment time, in my opinion, is now what do you do in season? What maneuvers do you make during the season to give this team the best chance to push for a cup? And so I'm not calling for his job, but I will tell you, if he hopes and wishes again, like he did last season, I very well may start calling for his job, because he did the groundwork in the summer. We got off to a hot start, some bad luck, started slumping, then injuries hit, and now we're in a dogfight to hold on to a playoff spot. Reinforcements must be brought in, and if it's more hoping and wishing and that kind of nonsense, I'm going to be furious. And as many other fans will be. It's just been a decade plus of just dog shit hockey in New Jersey, and it's not acceptable. We were once a proud franchise, and for years we were the doormat of the league. It cannot continue. Trades must happen, and hopefully sooner than later. But I'm the jury's out. I'm definitely not calling for his job. I don't know if he's kicking the tires all the time. I'm sure he's, inquiring, but if he's also waiting for a deal to come along where he's robbing a team, that's not going to happen either. And so I do think it's a delicate balance, but again, loved his offseason moves, sang his praises all summer long, all season long, but now's judgment time. This is just a judgment day. What do you do mid-season leading up to the deadline or at the deadline? And that's where we're at. It's now a waiting game. Death to Kong, these big splash moves rarely work out for the Rags. Not too worried. More concerned about what we're doing. No, for sure, but it's a big, I'm going to do a live about it. Especially in the division, it's a monster kind of news day type of thing. So Miller is debatably a negative asset. Nah, I'm not buying it. New York, nobody. It wasn't a total fleecing. Mancini will be a top 4 D-man guaranteed in a first-round pick. I just gave you my whole explanation. I'm not ripping Fitz day to day like these other people are. There's plenty of time and plenty of guys to get. And so I am waiting to see. Hopefully we don't wait too long, but like I just said 2 seconds ago, if it's hoping and wishing forever, I'm not with that. And I will, vocalize my opinion accordingly. Carson, oh no, shaking my boots. I'm so scared of the Rangers. JT Miller will overtake the world. Yeah, no, Ranton and Hall are 15 times better. I don't know about 15 times better. Rick Starr, I'm not going to go down this road. Who would you like to say are best likely trade targets? There's a million guys out there. There's a million guys out there that could help this club. They're slowly going to start coming off the board one by one. But even a guy like Donato from Chicago, I would be happy with. Everyone's been talking about Evans and Frederick, for weeks now. I don't know that Montreal or Boston ever will truly sell off. And so I think those guys could be kind of a little bit of a fantasy scenario. But I do think someone mentioned Alex Tuck recently. I think Tuck would be amazing. The Sabres should definitely be selling. But maybe they don't want to give up on Tuck and they see him as part of the rebuild or whatever the hell they're calling that situation over there. Joseph, Friday night moves on my birthday. Nice. Oh, it's your birthday, Joseph? Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Dire Straits says Fitz love to sit on his hands. Fitz goes coma during the season. I certainly hope not. Angelo Productions, Zegras to the Devils. I have zero interest in Zegras. Another dainty child. No, thank you. We got plenty of them. You got to insulate those types of guys with the heavier, edgier, more violent. Give me another Cotter and another Nason. Give me guys like that. We need the meat and potatoes kind of guys that are going to smash people. That's what wins in the playoffs. Zegras, unfortunately, I do like watching his Michigan goals and all the nonsense. But the last thing this roster needs is a guy like that, in my opinion. Dire Straits says Zegras is horrible. No. Tommy D, F the Rags. They get every high-priced player that comes along. Let's see. Did any more details come out on this thing? Yeah, Rangers fans got to be jacked. I'm sure Ranger fans are ecstatic tonight. This is help. This is a player that's going to help them. All right, Saravalli comes in now. Rangers get jtmiller, Erik Brannstrom, Jackson Dorrington, and the Canucks get Chytil, Victor Mancini, a 2025 first-round pick, top 13 protected. No salary retained on Miller. If the Rangers pick in the top 13, then the pick transfers to 2026. Wow. Evan says Hurricanes are scary. The Capitals are also scary. We need to upgrade. Our focus has to be a win versus Buffalo. I agree. I am hoping they come out smashing guys. Heavier, edgier, more violent. Gotta do it again. Just keep playing that way. I don't, maybe they think it's not sustainable. I don't know why that's the case. I do think, maybe some games slightly more timid than others, but the physicality switch can't just completely turn off. SST, the only move Fitzgerald is going to do is signing Luke to $12 million now that the cap will be around 96. Yo, Holmes says JT Miller stinks and the Rags are a garbage organization. Baxman, we want no part of that contract. There are better options out there. I think there could be. Shane, this is going to have a big effect on Quinn wanting to stay. I don't think necessarily it will. I just think that we have the ultimate advantage that we have two of his brothers. Stanley, Fitz is going to do what he does best, blame injuries. If that happens, I'm going to go ballistic. Dire Straits Metro getting better each day. Evan, Quinn Hughes to the Devils. I think when he's a free agent, it'll happen. Carson, absolutely as a Kings fan, I love this deal. The Rangers just got worse. I think we could both agree this is good for us both. I maybe long term, but in the short term, I don't think so. But I don't think it's going to, again, if they get into the playoffs, then it could affect either team. I don't know how you wouldn't think the Rangers are a deadlier team with Miller on their roster than not. Now, long term, it might hinder them, but in the moment, I think it definitely makes them a better team. Alex, SST, right? Crazy contracts incoming with the cap going up. Going to be paying a ton just to go to a game. I didn't want to get on that, but the reality is, yeah, with the cap going up, that cost gets passed directly to you, the fans, in the form of your ticket prices, which is very unfortunate. Searle, except Palat was younger than Miller and on a shorter deal, and we got him also more of a winner and less cancers. Again, we're not there, so the cancer thing to me is just hearsay. Amagi, New York Rangers putting together a roster with a mean age of the average Rangers season ticket holder. Devils fan 13, they essentially swapped Trouba's $8 million for Miller. Good move. I'm not worried. Focused on our Devils. Knowles, could the Devils sign Quinn and not wait until 2027? Seems like timing could be right. Why wait for 2027 since Canucks seem to be heading into a rebuild anyway? Because we can't just sign Quinn before that. We'd have to trade for him, and they would want a fortune for him. It makes no sense. There's no point in doing it. No, I would be furious if we ever traded for Quinn Hughes. Just wait until he's a free agent and he could sign here for no assets. Stanley, Miller's agent contract doesn't matter because the Rangers will just dump him on some loser organization like they always do. Jeff, cap going up, ads coming to hockey, pants, gloves, and socks. I'm still frustrated about the RWJ Barnabas health patch on the jersey. It sucks. I knew it was inevitable and it would happen at some point. I was just hoping that, it would be a little bit longer before the ads came on. But eventually, the jerseys may look like those disgusting overseas leagues where they're just plastered in logos. It's just complete trash. Ted, how about Jack using the penalty box, making a move on that blonde? I saw the clip. And then someone said they were older ladies. They didn't look like older ladies from the side angle, but, I don't really care about that stuff. I think it's funny. I think people, make a big deal out of it. But I'm curious if it was, is the real story it was people he knew or, I don't know. Jeff said that's his girlfriend. I have no idea. John, I would have liked Miller, but I'm not crying over it. I prefer Besser from Vancouver. I also would look at Ryan O'Reilly, Gordy, Bjukes, I can't say that, as a third line center. There's a lot of guys. And I think Fitz is going to try to get whatever he thinks is the best deal. Jay Snow, I think that's a great deal for the Rangers in a first. You're basically swapping Miller for Chytil. Mancini's a prospect. Angelo, let's get Quinn Hughes on this team. I do think he will at least explore signing here in 2027. Pro Bolt, if that were to happen, that'd be him signing with NJ, not NJ trading from. I agree. Accurate, even though there's no hockey game tonight, your outfit is Devil's attire versus yesterday where you looked like a lumberjack. Well, I wasn't, I put this, I had a different hoodie on before I came on camera. I'm just, I'm going to stay in theme here. And I put the hoodie on, before I jumped on the live. Yesterday, I had on the outfit that I wore to the Sweep the Deck Gala. Jay Snow, I was good on the Devils not getting Miller. He's going to be 32, and he does most of his damage on the power play. Pro Bolt, the Quinn Hughes to NJ dream not going to happen, except that I could be wrong, but I ain't getting my hopes up for it. I think it could happen. Didn't know JT Miller is what makes the Rangers suddenly good. I'm not saying they're going to be good, but I think they're going to be better than they were. And, I don't see how you wouldn't think that he could help them, claw into the playoffs. Quinn Hughes doesn't want to stay for a rebuild. He said it himself. I'm sure he doesn't, but, they're 1 point out of a wild card. Is that they're fully rebuilding now because they traded Miller? I don't know. Devils fan Brock Besser is more realistic for us than Miller. Pro Bolt, how would him coming to NJ work? I'm more worried about the ego side of things with the Hughes brothers. I don't know what you really mean by that, Pro Bolt. He would potentially sign here. SST, Devils couldn't afford JT anyway. Fitzgerald isn't going to bring a big name. He'll only get 2 players to upgrade bottom 3. Next year he stays as the GM and the cycle repeats. Devils are in the Groundhog Day. I hope not. Wasted youth comics and action figures. Miller would have been a bad fit. Seems like a jackass. Rags are not making the playoffs. Pedersen, yeah, for his contract and the type of player, again, hard pass. Billy Palmieri, I would take him if nothing better arises. Devils fans, in signing an $11.6 million contract, he has 4 points. Garland has more. Quinn Hughes has 70 plus. Quinn's a beast. Yeah, Quinn has been carrying the Canucks. Pro Bowl, when people say a player is a locker room cancer, they're just trying to ruin a player's reputation. I believe that's a lot to do with it. Devils fan 13, I agree, but Miller was legit bullying PD to the point other players said they agree, but it was simply the wrong approach. But what does bullying mean? Maybe they're all a bunch of soft little, wimps. But what does bullying consist of? Let me know. Is it him calling him out for messing up or not, doing something he should be doing? I'd be curious, but what is your definition of bullying? If it's expecting greatness out of players that are capable of it, I cannot, qualify that as bullying. Searle, teams have improved at a minimum a couple times after trading Miller. He can hold players accountable, but tons of players do that, many of whom drama doesn't follow around. I think you'd be surprised. The modern league is very different from back in the day. Palms is going nowhere. Isles are right in it, and hell will freeze over before Lou trades with NJ. Never happening. I agree with that, too. And people are even bringing up Brock Nelson. I'm like, Lou is not going to do anything to help the Devils in any way, in my opinion. So says Miller is a my way or the highway player and is a major hypocrite. Again, I don't know how anyone would know that definitively. And Jason, no, exactly. We have no idea. We're not in the locker rooms. I completely agree. Craig says we have no killers. I would love to see some more of them for sure. I think that's an ingredient that this team desperately needs. B, don't get too caught up in all that. A big difference between us and other young teams is we have a great young captain for the young guys to follow. You still need veterans that are going to hold people accountable. And unfortunately, the Devils do not have enough of them. Craig, many labeled Woods that way when he called out Miles Wood. That way when he called out the team and not wanting to lose anymore. Yeah, some people can handle that. But you know what? If you can't handle criticism from a teammate that wants the best for the team, then you need to get the hell off the team. The New York Nobody says, I hope he runs Mika out of town. Jason, no, we're where? Okay, where are the Rangers fans who want to sell the whole team? New York, nobody. He's not going to put up with the soft feelings that the Rangers stars exhibit. Yeah, I wish the Devils need guys like that. Pro Bowl forever. The only moves the Devils can make is getting depth players that can fit within the restraints of the limited cap space. John, thoughts on making a move for Gordy or Ryan O'Reilly? I would like them both. I think Ryan O'Reilly is going to require some pieces, and again, they're going to have to free up cap space somehow. And I think there's going to be somewhat of a bidding war for him. I could see it, and I wouldn't want to, vastly overpay, but I think O'Reilly would be great on the Devils. Searle, last season is over, but not many people are saying that Fitz simply didn't try to get goaltending. The point is he failed to get goaltending. I don't know what you mean by that, but either way, he got goalies and it was way too late. Had he gotten one of those exact guys, Jake Allen or Kakinen or another one of the many goalies that were out there, if he got any of them in February, I do believe we would have had a chance to at least claw into the playoffs. Completely unacceptable to hope and wish and wait the way he did. And the season went down the tubes. And again, I believe it was very damaging to this club that had a franchise record-setting season and a playoff round win the year before. That was a major regression. Kill for my honor says, can someone wake up our GM? Searle, Larry, you can never have too many right-handed D, and he's probably a big reason Luke Hughes has taken a big step this season. That's in reference to Larry's comment. Pesci signing was a big mistake. Too much assets allocated to the right side. And I agree with you, Searle. With Pesci up until a couple days ago, playing on the other side with him has definitely led to a great kind of development trajectory for Luke Hughes, playing much more defensively responsible, and he looks like he's just getting better, as the season goes on, and he's going to be a stud. You guys cannot forget, he's only 21 years old. Pro Bowl, O'Reilly would be a great mentor to the young guns. Searle, Rantanen is 8th all-time in playoff points per game. I think him being 15 times better than Miller is actually an understatement. I mean, where do you come up with these how many playoff games has this guy even played in? He's played in a good amount, but not, he's still young. Yeah, it's pretty good. But can he replicate it in Carolina? 101 points in 81 playoff games. They might hold on to Donato. Alexander, fair enough. Ace, thanks for further explaining your rationale. Love the channel. Let's go Devils. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. But yeah, I'm being very fair to him. I aired my grievances publicly last season. Again, to lose a season like that is deplorable, and I'll never get over it. But sung his praises all off season long, all season while these guys were performing. I was like, these are the moves. This is why I was excited for all these moves in the summer. But Judgment Day is upon us, and it's what do you do in the season now? Because all that goodwill built up over the incredible offseason that he had can vanish like that if there's no activity to help this team going into the playoff stretch. David, you can't criticize Fitz for any one trade missed, but I agree with you. He needs to move. People ain't waiting for the deadline or getting fleeced in early trades. Got to move. No need to go all in. Completely agree. I don't care. As these guys come off the board, I'm like, cool. As long as we get a guy or two that's logical for the roster, I'm not fixated on any one guy. It seems like a lot of people are like, oh, why didn't we get this guy? Even Taylor Hall, right? Fitz didn't want him for whatever reason. The way that whole three-way trade ended up playing out was essentially the Blackhawks paid a little bit more than $4.6 million to get a third-round pick. So, would they have retained in a deal with the Devils for a third and maybe a later pick or something? I'm sure there was a sensible deal that could have been had if the Devils wanted it. And it seemed like they didn't want it. So that's fine. I wasn't fixated on him. I thought he could have been a decent guy to look at. But I'm not fixated on any one given guy. I am fixated on improving the roster however he does it. Knowles, I like the idea of another Cotter and Nason. I felt like we can use at least one more, if not two. Yeah, absolutely. Michael Shane, with our injuries in position, glad to see Fitz making us better anytime now. Val S. Now watch Canucks trade that first rounder for O'Reilly. Center out, center in. That would be quite the maneuvering. Taylor, missing on Miller is fine. Not going all in is fine. Proof that if he wanted to make a deal, he could have. There's zero reason that a depth move couldn't have been made. Yeah, no, I'm fine with not getting Miller. That's true, Cyril. The only good jersey ads are the Maple Leafs Oreo helmet and milk jersey. Yeah, and the colors match their color scheme. Like, we have this random blue with the Barnabas Health shit. Like, couldn't they at least change the colors to just red and black so it went with our theme, or red and white, whatever it is? Why have to introduce another color that doesn't belong on our jersey? I hate it. Michael Shane, Jack let the cat out of the bag months ago in an interview where he said he and his brothers talked about all playing together on the same team. Quinn will be a Devil when he hits free agency, guarantee it. I don't think it's a guarantee, but I think there's a very good chance. A trade for Quinn starts with Nemitz. I have no interest in trading for Quinn for all the reasons I mentioned before. Samuel, Quinn is years away. Let's find help for now. Absolutely. People get caught up on the big names. Quinn will hopefully be here in a few years, but for now, the depth pieces, third line center, maybe a winger, whatever it is, those are the pieces I'm hoping get added at some point. But, as time goes on, the options are going to, become dwindled. Searle, no, the point is there are signs pointing to a potential forced rebuild for the Canucks, and if that happens, Quinn Hughes is gone. I agree with that. And I think even if that's not the case, he still may be lured by the, wild potential of playing with both of his brothers in New Jersey. Big Cheese Make Me says Jake Evans will be coming to New Jersey. I would love him, but I don't think the Canadians are going to sell. They're right there. B. Ted, Rags' locker room was already fragile. They added another potential headache. I don't buy into all these headlines that the media puts out. Ritter Engine says the only thing that Fitz will bring is Harris's fancy helicopter. Jeremy, as a Rangers fan, I'm happy Chytil was very injury prone and JT becomes the first line center and has the third most points on our team. I would imagine Ranger fans would be ecstatic. Why would you not? Your team definitely improved for today. Now, how does this age down the line? I don't know. But again, GMs trying to win have to make some moves. And it might come at a slight cost to your future. Swamp Fox, Besser and O'Reilly would work. If you think we're getting both of those, you're nuts, man. There's no way we're getting both of them. Manny04, hit that like, you dirty devils. Yeah, hit the thumbs up for your boy. Appreciate that. Swamp Fox says Brock Nelson is going back to Minnesota in the off season. Richard, Devils could score lots of goals last year, just couldn't stop any pucks. So I 100% agree that Fitz should have pulled the trigger. 100%. There's no way. I wanted a goalie so badly, and as the team did too. David chimes, one or two assholes are good for a team, but a whole team of assholes with an asshole GM is not. I feel bad for Igor, who's not an asshole. Again, I guess this is all subjective, and different people have different opinions, but why is he an asshole? We don't know. It's just a lot of recycled rhetoric in the media, and again, we don't know, and so I won't, unless we have definitive proof or whatever you want to call it. I am not going to regurgitate the same stuff when it seems like people are trying to smear this guy. DM Sanks, Ace, I just don't understand stumbling into the playoffs and getting swept by the opposing team. I'd rather not make the playoffs and getting embarrassed. No, you're part of the problem, DM Sanks. And not to attack you, it might come off as an attack, but I'm not attacking you personally. But this is the problem. People that think like this, first of all, even if you stumble into the playoffs, it's still making the playoffs. Making the playoffs matters. Do you know what's more embarrassed than making the playoffs and getting your ass kicked? You know what's more embarrassing than that? Not making the playoffs. That is way more embarrassing. Furthermore, even stumbling into the playoffs, you never know what can happen. Obviously, you're not going to be a favorite to win the cup, but just get there and hope for the best. You never know what could happen. Teams get hot. Things click at the right time. A goalie gets hot. Anything could happen in the playoffs. We've seen it time and time again. Just get there and hope for the best. But specifically with this group and referring to last year, that was damaging to a bunch of young kids that were riding high. The season before, 22-23, Jack had 99 points, broke the record. Luke made his debut. Everyone, good vibes all around. 112 regular season points, franchise record. Beat the Rangers in the first round in 7. That's a step forward. That's how teams eventually get to a cup. They go on a couple runs, and then eventually they get over the hill and they win the whole thing. To take a monster step back by missing the playoffs is damaging. And if you don't realize that, then there's nothing more I can tell you, but it is the reality. And so DM Sanks, this whole thought process is terrible. It's terrible. There's nothing embarrassing about losing in the playoffs. It's way more embarrassing to not make the playoffs. Playoffs or bust. Jay Snow, I can't blame Fitz for staying put last year. That team was so bad not going anywhere. You're part of the problem, too. Jay Snow, I'd rather save the draft capital or prospects. Absolutely not. Could not disagree more. Could not disagree more. I am passionate about this, and my mind will never be changed. Searle, honestly disagree with embracing losing. All it takes is getting hot at the right time. Yes, even for the Rangers, and it's hard to put a price on playoff experience, even if they get smoked. Let's go, Searle. Let's go. Let's go. That is what it's about. I don't give a shit about draft capital, and we're playing for 5 years from now. Bullshit. You make the playoffs, or it is a colossal failure, and that is what last season was. Robert Polzo, old man Rob here, brother Ace. How do you feel about UFA third line center Frederick? He does seem to fit the heavier, edgier, more violent type. I would absolutely love Frederick. I just don't think the Bruins are going to sell him because they're going to be in contention to make the playoffs. If he becomes available, he's very high on my list. Heavier, edgier, more violent. Love to see it. James, we do not want to trade for Miller. This would have killed us. Rangers just made an awful. I don't think it would have killed us. And I wasn't dead set on him. I don't think I would have been interested without retention. I didn't think they would retain. And so I'm not crying over this by any stretch. I thought he would have been a good fit on the Devils, aside from the business aspect of the cap hit and blah, blah, blah. But if you don't think he would have fit nicely on this team, I think you're nuts. Amagi, I sourced a Circa Sports patch for my VGK Cotter jersey because the ad patch looks nice in the jersey. The RWJ one sucks, looks entirely slapped on as an afterthought. Well, it was. It happened mid-season. Michael Shane, how would you feel about us getting Henrique to flesh out our bottom three? I still love him as a player and need to see him back. I mean, nothing for nothing, guys. Tonight is like delusional night. It's delusional night in the chat. Henrique is going nowhere. He's in his native country of Canada. He's playing on a team with Connor McDavid that's going to have a chance to win a cup every year for the remainder of his career. And Henrique, I would love him back. It's a pipe dream. He is going absolutely nowhere. Jason, no, the Rangers are in win now mode. You have to love the move of the Rangers. Absolutely. Stephen Engel, lots of power plays coming for the Rags now to get them to move up in the standings and make the playoffs. Jason, no, the defense last year was awful, and we had tons of injuries. Fitz waited for them to turn it around, and they never did. It was a failure. Last year was a book on what not to do as a GM. Searle, I think what probably happened, Miller's too much of an ego, and he and Pettersson have very different personalities, and Pettersson probably isn't too used to not being praised enough. Yeah, if that's what it boils down to, shame on Pettersson. Get mentally stronger. If the guy wants to win and is giving you some shit, it is what it is. I want guys like that in our locker room. David Chimes, JT routinely stops playing hard defensively when he gets frustrated and then mouths off publicly. There's evidence of being an asshole. It's just not the annoying Canuck washing woman fan gossip. Okay. Manny, spot on about the playoffs talk, brother. Anything can happen. Playoffs are exciting. Again, anything can happen. This goes for any sport. My mind would never change from that. Embracing losing and tanking and stroking yourself to a higher draft pick and all of this stuff is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Because I'll tell you this. If you sat all the players down and you're like, all right, guys, all the players on the team, and you're like, we have a decision to make. Should we just chalk this season up? We'll ride it out as is, hope for the best, and maybe we'll get a higher draft pick. Or I can proactively go get you guys a goalie so you stop losing these games because of goaltending. I promise you, every single player in the locker room last year would have been like, let's go get the goalie. Let's get the goalie in here. No one cares about the future like that in a situation like that. Terrible. Richard, let's say the Devils managed to make the playoffs last year. Perhaps they do get eliminated in the first round, or maybe they don't. Either way, it's playoff experience. Yes, these are all invaluable, essentially, experiences for the team to go through. And most teams don't just come out of nowhere and win a cup. They go on a couple runs. Maybe if they win a round, then maybe they win 2 rounds or they win 3 rounds. And then eventually they get over that hump when everything comes together at the right time and win a cup. Last year was a missed opportunity for crucial playoff experience for these guys. It would have been back-to-back playoffs. Now, with the way shit's going, when they make the playoffs this year, I fear that it's almost going to be like a whole brand new experience to them. It's like, oh, I forgot. This is what it's like. It's going to be, the last playoff was 2 years ago now. When they make it, it'll be 2 years old. So it's almost like a whole new thing all over again. I'm not a fan of it. Michael Shane, the playoffs are basically a second season in the same year. It's a clean slate, and like A said, anything could happen. Big cheese make me missing the playoffs definitely sucks, but those injuries killed the team. Listen, I'm not the injuries didn't help, but you could have tried to help the team last year and did not happen. He just watched them drown. No life preserver. Could have gotten one of those goalies much earlier. Throw out the life preserver and say, all right, guys, I understand goaltending has been shit. Here's a goalie. Let's see if we can make a run at this thing. That didn't happen. Ryan the Man Fitz needs to respond by making a trade of his own. Stanislav, just like you said, we will make the playoffs. Jace, no, you can't change my mind either on last year. Jack couldn't take a faceoff or even take a penalty shot with his shoulder. Timo, bad knees with defense. Between Smith, Luke, Marino, Siegs was a joke last year. That all might be true, but I don't care. Playoffs over not playoffs 100 times out of 100. Woodson Miller at $8 million for a 31-year-old for 3 more years. Oh, it's way more than that, Woodson. It's like four more years after this, I think. The contract I thought was bad. That's why I said for the most part I'm not that interested without retention. Didn't think it would happen, and so there it is. With the cap going up to the $8 million is not, it's not great, but it's not as bad as it is under the current cap. Jace, no, you could have brought back Prime Marty last year, and that team still don't make it. You can't prove all these things. Woodson, I wish we didn't tank and win the lottery to get Luke. I think Woodson, you're one of these embrace losing people. You're obsessed with asset management and all this bullshit. Win now, baby. Win now. James Israel, I want the Devils to make smart moves, not add a 31-year-old center sign long term. That contract is not going to age well. I agree, it probably will not. But if you win with him one time in the first 4 years, then nothing else matters. Ted, get in the playoffs and anything could happen. Panthers is a wild card team, made it to the Cup Finals in 22-23. I'm just trying to pull something up for reference. I think the Lightning getting swept in 2019 helped them, honestly. Yeah, I mean, in 18, they beat the Devils in 5 games. I forget how did their season end that year. But it's all just playoff experience, and it just keeps building and building till eventually they're like, okay, this is what it's about, and they go the whole way. And you saw what the Lightning did. I guess they had a couple more good players, but I would say it's, with the core we have, it's at least comparable. Maybe they're not as good as those guys were or are. But it definitely is in the realm of that. And it's like, okay, you got to consistently make the playoffs to keep kind of pushing this thing along. Woodson Fitzroy screwed up when drafting Nemitz instead of Cooley and Wright. Frank, 1984 Penguins tanked to beat the Devils to draft Lemieux. First overall, worked out okay for them. Sometimes tanking is the right thing to do. It's very different. Very, very different. Before the draft lottery, if you're already a dog shit team, and again, that's tanking when the Devils or the Penguins sucked, rather. We're talking about the difference between not making the playoffs and making it. To use the Lemieux thing is a very bad analogy, Frank, because again, no draft lottery, and everyone knew Lemieux was, or at least believed at the time, Lemieux was going to be a generational player, which he obviously was. That tanking is very different than not making the playoffs in the case of the Devils last year. And again, for people that don't believe it, the Devils' first Stanley Cup championship team in 1995 were a 5 seed, I believe, started every single playoff round on the road against Boston on the road. On the road. Found a way to win that series. And then they started off again on the road in Pittsburgh. Won that series. Started off in the Eastern Conference Finals on the road again against Philly, and then ultimately beating the juggernaut Red Wings that everyone said was going to kill the Devils, that they were going to get swept, start the Cup Finals on the road and win that series. And so for the, I've seen it myself. The Devils, a 5 seed in 95, went on to go on a miraculous playoff run. No one saw that coming and win the first Cup for the Devils. Searle, there's zero shot the Devils missed the playoffs if they had Prime Brodeur last season. They were in the running until March at the earliest. I agree. James Israel, Ace, let's get Justin Zucker in a third-line center. I'm not getting caught up on the names. A lot of you guys are getting caught up. I just want the team to improve. There's no shortage of guys that can get that done. And everyone keeps obsessing over specific names. I'm not obsessed with specific names. Just make the team better. However you decide what the best course of action is, just make the team better. Jason, no, we're only going to have 5.5 at the deadline. I think Fitz is going to have to wait till then. M. Sharp praying Fitz is working hard on surprise trade as we speak. Jeff, no, Fitz screwed up drafting Holtz over Askarov and Rossi. I mean, that's true. That one really hurts. That one really hurts. No filter Chilliwack, man. Vancouver Canucks. My Canucks got destroyed. What's going on with the Canucks, sir? There are people thinking in Vancouver that you're entering a rebuild now? LJ, in regards to making the playoffs, the Caps made it as the last wild card and got railroaded by the Rags. That experience allowed them to adjust accordingly into the best team in hockey. I mean, again, I'm not going to say that that's, it's hard. It's something hard to prove, right? But that's a very recent example. They just squeaked it into the playoffs. They got crushed. And now they're probably going to win the President's Trophy during the season where Caps fans going ballistic as Ovechkin chases the Gretzky goal record. I mean, yeah, Buddy Lopez. Fitz is definitely cooking up something. I hope he is. New York Yankee. Embracing losing is for losers. The top teams won't want to face this veteran Rangers team in the first round. Embracing losing is definitely for losers. And I told people from weeks ago, I expect the Rangers to make the playoffs just off the strength of Shesterkin. And then once they're in, if they do make the playoffs, they're going to be just as dangerous as any other team, I believe. And the JT move just a couple hours ago or an hour ago, whatever it was, makes them a better playoff team, in my opinion. Searle, imagine how different the Devils and Penguins history would be if Lemieux went to the Devils and Muller went to the Penguins. Oh, so many things would be different. So many things. Woodson, we whiffed on Askarov twice. We will see more fireworks from Fitzy in the offseason. Don't have too much room to do anything now. No. I'm not waiting for offseason fireworks. And I don't need fireworks. I need regular season tinkering. But to sit and wait, not acceptable. Paulie Walnuts, we have done plenty of tanking over the years. Got Nico and Jack with number 1 picks. Time to win now. Could not agree more. John Woodson, Ace honestly believes this team could win the Cup. I wish I had half that much optimism. I absolutely believe it, Woodson. Am I going to say they're a favorite? No. The 1995 New Jersey Devils, baby. 5 seed. Road Warriors. I don't know how why you couldn't believe that they could win the Cup. If they play consistent the way they have been in the games that they look good, if Markey is hot, anything could happen, and I think they could surprise some people and make a deep push. I really do. I'm not saying I expect them to win the Cup. At no point of the season did I say I expect them to win the Cup. That's obviously ridiculous. But why not us? Why not us? If they once we get healthy, start gelling a little bit, hopefully a little tinkerings, I fully believe they are capable of winning the Cup. I absolutely do. Searle, of course, the Devils make at least one trade. It's a matter of who. Maybe. Frank, not a bad analogy at all. In those days, 16 of 21 teams in the league made the playoffs. Yeah, but you're talking about, with no draft lottery, the guarantee of getting the potential, franchise savior in Mario Lemieux. I mean, there was no again, because the draft lottery to prevent tanking, there was no guarantee to get a number 1 pick, obviously, and there is no Mario Lemieux. It's wildly, wildly different. NJ Swamp Fox, I remember the 95 playoff run. Detroit was a prohibitive favorite, and we swept them in 4. Absolutely. Searle, at Woodson, like half the league could win the Cup if they get hot at the right time come April and March. I agree with that as well. Colleen, hello from Portland, Oregon. Hello to you. Bruce, hello. Knowles, what a great year 95 was. Truly an underdog story. Absolutely. Woodson, half the league can play the physical cycle game. We can't. Well, that remains to be seen. Hopefully, we see more of it. They've showed glimpses into it. Now, if they can consistently do it, I believe they're going to be a very good team. A very, very good team. Anything can happen in Jersey, says Rusty. Ryan the Man, I don't know why we are all naming specific names. Fitz just needs to make a trade that'll improve this team. There's lots of talent available out there that would help this team out right now. That's exactly my thing. I'm not getting fixated on any one guy. There's going to be no shortage of guys from now until then. Get guys to help us. I don't give a shit who they are. Make us a better team. Ryan the Man, Fitz needs to make a trade before it's too late. I don't think it'll be too late for quite some time. Woodson, give me an example outside of a dozen games and the Devils have been consistent. Well, consistency has been their Achilles heel. I've talked about that. You never know what you're going to get. And we've seen it more than a dozen times, just kind of spread out all over the place. You know, they looked pretty damn good in the global series. A lot of people were pretty happy about those performances. And then, you know, we've had peaks and valleys. Jason says it's not going to be a blockbuster move. I never thought it would be a blockbuster, and I'm on record saying that as well. Big Cheese make me. The Hockey News this year predicted it'll be Dallas and Devils in the Cup Finals with the Stars winning. I would love a rematch. 25 years later, the Devils and the Stars played in the 2000 Cup Finals. To have a rematch a quarter century later would be truly remarkable. John Woodson, we will get at most 2 bottom 6 guys. Anything more, we lose Mercer and Nemitz. I agree with you there. That's all I'm looking for. Give me 2 good bottom 6 guys. Searle at Woodson, except experts mostly think the Devils are going to win a cup in the Hughes era. There's no reason why it can't be this season, like they also think. No, I'm with you too. This core has to win at least 1 cup. Anything less is a colossal failure, and preferably more than 1. Chris, adding to an aging core with an aging player with baggage, whose contract you're stuck with until 2030, seems like the most Ranger thing ever. Fitz will make the Devils better, but I'm glad Miller isn't an NJ. Woodson, the Hughes brothers will be the reason we don't win a cup. I hope you're wrong. Jay Snow, we're a terrible ozone team. I got to be realistic about that. Michael Klein, why are we not using Cotter on the first 2 lines? You know, I'm trying to get that lineup balanced. It's kind of tricky with the injuries and stuff. There hasn't been, there's been several different line combinations over the past week or so. And I think Keefe is trying to, shake it up without completely gutting any sort of chemistry that we already had. And so I would like to see, I've said all season, I'd like to see him and Nason. We saw it with Nason in the top 6 and Cotter, very limited time here and there. But he's shown he has great finish. But he might end up, again, being part of an amazing third line when all is said and done after a couple additions at the trade deadline. Would love to get Zets back somehow. That's not happening. Bruce, what chance Devils have to trade inside the division like Isles, perhaps? I don't think the Islanders are trying to help us at all. Jason, no, the problem we have is we have a lot of small forwards who have a hard time getting to dirty areas. Exactly. That's why I want more heavier, edgier, more violent. That is a prerequisite. Searle, having 1 crazy hot stretch is way more inconsistent than having a bunch of mini hot stretches is the funny thing. Vince, the only team Quinn would accept a trade to would be the Devils. I have 0 interest in trading for him. I just want to sign him when he's a free agent. Cody Skills, it's the bee's knees when it comes down the stretch. Antonio, Sens fan said to me that we have the most overrated core in the NHL. Thoughts? I mean, listen, until they win more than a playoff round, it's hard to say that it's, while it might not be true, it's not a preposterous thing to say. But because of the time, I would say I already believe that at a minimum, the Maple Leafs core would be more overrated, in my opinion. At a minimum. And there could be more, but that one comes to mind right away. Bruce, welcome back. Cotter, Jason, I don't like Jack and Brat playing together. When teams close down the neutral zone, they struggle together. No more Smurfs. Couldn't agree more. Swamp Fox. M. Sharp, would be nice to have a line that just throws the body around. Yeah, it really would. It really, really would. And I'm curious to see what, with the tinkerings, with potential deadline moves, what truly becomes of the line combinations for the playoffs if and when the Devils get there. But there's going to be no shortage of options. I'm trying to look at something here. Woodson Rangers top 6, all at least 31 years old. Then they have to panic by the window is closing. We don't. Woodson, I'm not trying to sit out here and wait till 2030 to go on a run. I'm sorry, bro. The time to win is now. Now. Jason, I think Jack and Brat can both drive play. So can Timo. Timo looks better driving his own line. Him and Mercer look great together. Woodson, Jason, agree. You can only have one undersized forward per line. I kind of like the notion of that. Metallander just got here. Ace, what happened? What happened is nothing crazy, but the Rangers and JT Miller are on they're going to have a little reunion. Miller to the Rangers. The Canucks ridding themselves of the JT Miller problem. Jeff, that's true. Carolina and New York are in a position where they have to buy more than us, Woodson, but I hope we add a useful player. Jason, no, like Jack surrounded by 2 bigger wingers would be ideal. Of course. And that's why, the idea of the Alex Tuck I thought would be, he's a big boy. I think he's 6'4". I would love a guy like him on one of Jack's wings. That would be absolutely phenomenal. Give me a big body that could score. What was the return on that deal? The full trade was the Rangers get JT Miller, Erik, Brannstrom, Jackson, Dorrington, and the Canucks get Filip, Chytil, Victor Mancini, 2025 first-round pick, which is top 13 protected. No salary retention. If the Rangers pick is in the top 13, then the pick transfers to 2026. Woodson, I'm excited about when Jack, Luke, Mercer, Nemitz, Casey, when their bodies mature around 25 years old. That's our window. We don't even know who our goalie's going to be then, man. Let's be real. Remember the road of goaltending up until this point. We finally have solid goaltending. We have win now pieces. It's time to try to win now. Right now. And then. Win now and then. Vince Besser could be a decent rental. I think he's going to be pretty pricey. Searle, Carolina is so good at drafting and developing that I could never count out their cup window, not unless they miss the postseason maybe 2 years in a row. Samuel, I want a rematch with Colorado. The 2001 loss still kills me. Oh, man, I hated the Avs ever since. Them and Ray Bourque, I was like, Ray Bourque, I never really had any sort of feelings towards you until that series. But when the whole hockey world was just openly rooting for the Avs and Ray Bourque and Mission 16W getting rammed down our throats, I'll never forget it. I was at Game 6 at Continental Airlines Arena. The Devils up 3-2. The cup in the building. The Devils with the chance to be back-to-back cup champs and win one on home ice. And it was a devastating loss. One of the most devastating losses I've witnessed at a sporting event live. Absolutely devastating. Jay Snow, I love Tuck. I don't think he gets moved, though. I could see that as well. NJ Swamp Fox, one of those wingers for Jack should ideally be a finisher. For sure. Searle, Jack Hughes' dream line mates are Matthew Tkachuk and David Pastrnak. I mean, what an all-star line that would be. Metalllander, is this the start of a Vancouver fire sale? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. There was some Canucks people in here earlier. I'm not sure. Woodson, young guys will get tossed around in the playoffs like rag dolls. Bruce says Bourque sold out. Yeah, he went cup chasing. Boston was in bad shape. Jay Snow, it's hilarious. I'm watching O'Reilly play right now. The guy doesn't even have to wear a visor. He's been around that long. Grandfathered in. Bruce, the stack, the roster days. Rob, hearing Mission 16W all the time. I hated it, as did I. Metalllander, every time that 2001 finals come up, I want to puke. Same here. All right, guys, I got some shit to do. It was great chatting with you. Rangers improved. Doesn't necessarily mean too much to the Devils. I'm just looking for Fitz. I'm not stuck on any one guy. I just want Fitz to bring in the reinforcements. I'm working on some interesting stuff at the moment. There should be some stuff coming out in the next couple of days. Obviously, the Devils need to come out on Sunday in Buffalo and hand our friend Lindy Ruff another loss on the season. If you haven't checked it out, I'm putting the link in the chat here. The Devils Sweep the Deck Gala, very nice charity event that I went to last night. Did a little vlog on that. I just threw the link in the chat. If you haven't checked that out and you have any sort of interest in stuff like that, check that out. A lot of cool stuff, curling and gambling and players everywhere. A little saxophone, good times. A pretty funny auction. A little bit of everything in that one. Check that out. Link in the description. Yeah, I'll be back soon. I'm working on something that's going to probably take me forever because I have to, I'm playing Stat Boy. I'm pulling some stats that I have to manually do. It's very painful. But all right, guys, enjoy your Friday night. I'll be back soon. Hit the thumbs up for your boy on the way out. I'd appreciate that. Let's give me a little like on the way out. And yeah, enjoy your Friday. I'll be back soon. Thank you for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.